welcome to the little podcast of good news. We are your hosts, Lauren
and Grace, and we're here to bring you everyday ideas for learning about and living out the way of Jesus in your family. So, Lauren.
Yeah.
You know how Canon Morgan asks everyone in our office their Enneagram type?
She sure does, yes.
So I was thinking about this the other day, and I was wondering if understanding personality types could help us be better parents.
Ah, that's a very good question. Good news.
Yeah?
We've got Canon Morgan on the podcast. The hardest part for her is going to be that she can't ask each listener their Enneagram type because that's just not how podcasting works. But she can share her knowledge and enthusiasm for this particular question we're grappling with about personality types and parenting and does it help you better understand your kids? So welcome, Canon Morgan.
Welcome.
We're so glad you're here.
Yay. Thank you. I will tell all of you exactly what I told Lauren and Grace when they asked me to come on this podcast. I know just enough about the Enneagram to be dangerous. I am not, please, like y'all say all the time, we're not therapists, like we're not, go seek out a professional. I am not a professional. I just am an enthusiast who's gone through a couple of Enneagram classes. So just bear that in mind.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us about yourself first?
Sure. Okay, so I have been a priest for about 17 years now in the Episcopal Church. Best job ever. I've been working here in the office for Bishop Duckworth for almost 3 years. And as canon to the ordinary, I do a lot of different things. My favorite way to describe my job is just to say that I do whatever the bishop wants me to do. And that's pretty much true. That tracks.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be here with you all today and have loved watching our little box of good news come to life in production.
Yeah, and for those of you who hang on and listen to the entire podcast, you hear our little, what is it, credits at the end? Mm-hmm. That's Canon Morgan's
voice
of
the credits.
Yes. Her voice sounds familiar. That's why.
That's why.
I also forgot to say I'm a mom.
Yes.
There you go.
That's important. Yes.
She exists outside of this office.
I do. So my husband and I have 3 children. Our oldest, our daughter, Ellery, is 16. Our older son, Eamon, is 14. And our younger son, Owen, is 12. So it is a full and busy life at the MacIntire household.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So tell us, so what is an Enneagram and why did you decide, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense to me?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a great question. So I am just fascinated by people. I always have been, like, endlessly. And so I love things like Myers-Briggs and all those personality tests, and like there's a disc test and there's a test that has colors, and so like I'm super into that, have always been into that my entire life. It wasn't until a clergy retreat after Easter, probably about a year before I moved down to this diocese, so it's been like a decade now, that we had an Enneagram, a certified Enneagram teacher come to our retreat.
Wait, pause. Where were you before? We need to give a shout out so that those people feel
right.
welcome on the
Western
podcast.
Louisiana.
Western Louisiana.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sending us.
Our wonderful neighbors. We love them.
Yes.
Shreveport born and raised, shout out.
Okay, so up in Shreveport, you were at a retreat. Yes.
I was at a clergy retreat, and Bishop Jake had invited an Enneagram coach, who also was one of our clergy, to come kind of talk to us about the Enneagram as a system and to help us kind of figure out our type. So I wouldn't call the Enneagram a personality type or a personality system because it is deeper than that. The thing I really liked about it is that when you find your Enneagram type, your type is kind of how you are internally wired. So like we have our internal motivations and kind of what's going on inside of us at all times. And then we have our external kind of behavior and the way we present to the world. And a lot of personality tests focus on behavior, that like external presentation. The Enneagram really gets to the root of things and to the heart of things. You know how you're internally wired, even though other people may think you're completely different, because that's not how you present. So the thing I like about the Enneagram, too, is that after you kind of figure out what number you are, there is a lot of opportunity for growth. So in the Enneagram, say you're a type 2, which I am, you could be a healthy type 2, an unhealthy type 2, or anywhere in between that on the spectrum. And so the kind of opportunity for growth is to recognize these internal motivations and some of these default coping mechanisms that you're just kind of hardwired to, I don't know, do. And to help yourself kind of get out of that and be healthier. And so somebody has said before, my spiritual director, who's also an Enneagram coach, says that, the Enneagram is like the key to unlock the boxes that we put ourselves in. And so I like that there's a growth element. Richard Rohr wrote an entire book about the Enneagram and Christianity. So it's really easy to kind of incorporate that into your life of faith and into your own kind of prayer practice and self-discipline. And it has helped me truly understand myself on a deeper level and understand the people that I love the most. So it's just been wonderful. You cannot take a test. You should. Okay.
I was going to ask you this question.
Yeah. There are Enneagram tests, quizzes in your, little magazines and stuff. Like, you could take a quiz, but you should not.
Okay, tell us why.
Because it is not that, again, that's kind of like an external form of validation. So what you should do is either, if you have the opportunity to go to an Enneagram conference, go in person, hear the explanation of the whole system and every type. And what a lot of coaches do at these conferences is they have panels of people that are each type. So like they'll have a panel of 1s and a panel of 8s. And so they will ask the panel of this type questions about their type. And so as you hear other people describe like the way they operate, you're like, oh, that resonates with me. Oh my gosh, I totally think that all the time. And so it's kind of like you deciphering like in your own way, which one resonates most with you. And then after that, you could probably narrow it down to like 1 or 2. Then pouring yourself into reading further about each type. Because there's subtypes and there are wings. And like really you could spend your entire life on the Enneagram, which is fun. And so tests should be used as like further confirmation after you've already done kind of that work.
Okay, so say we don't have a weekend to go to or a day or anything. Can we just like read about each of the different types?
So there is a tiny little book that I've totally forgotten the name, but we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
One of the writers is David Daniels, and it's like pocket size. It's tiny, tiny. And in the first part of that book, there are 9 paragraphs that you read. And each paragraph corresponds to a different type. And so after reading the 9, you rank like your top 3. And then you turn the page and you find out which, numbers they correspond with. And then you go in the book and he has kind of like great, like brief, succinct overviews of each type. And so after you read about those 3, you might say, oh, okay, well, not that one. I'm not really feeling that with these 2. And then that can start kind of your internal exploration. There are also people in the Enneagram community that are trained to help people find their type. So if you've already started doing some of your own kind of research into this, but you want to just have a conversation with somebody who could type you, that's also a thing. And it doesn't take a weekend. That's like an hour-long conversation on the phone.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So say I took a test online.
Is this hypothetical?
I'm just saying, so say
we're not under the seal of the confessional with Canon Morgan right now. We're recording this.
So say I take a test online, but then when I read the description of the whatever it says, I'm like, oh my God, that's totally me.
So that's that further confirmation.
And then like I read the descriptions of other ones, and it's like, no, this one really is me. Then it.
That works too. I mean, listen, I'm not, there are no Enneagram police. We're not going to come after you. But with something Richard Rohr said that I really think is true is you'll know you found your correct type when you feel like the most ashamed reading about the type.
Yes.
The type.
That's good.
That was 100% true for me. So
That's funny.
That's
Some
good.
people have a harder time, but I knew immediately. So I was like, and that's the one.
Yeah.
So one of my children got into this and has been sending all of her friends like the Enneagram test and making everybody take the test at like 13 years old. I don't know if you like totally know yourself. But when she got her type, she was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I think. And this is how. And so then she's like, oh, and even these negative. Yeah. See, it's just because I'm a type 1. And I'm like, you can't use it as an excuse.
No.
I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, it can't be an excuse. It can be an understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
And then if you keep reading, I think it says what you can do.
So your growing
to,
edges.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, it's just because of my type. I'm like, that doesn't work like that.
It does not work like that. It's not an excuse.
But it's so interesting to think about using it with kids because, like you were saying, kids may not really know themselves that
Right.
well. But if we have this element, and of course, they're still always being shaped and formed, by all
Yeah.
those external factors. But if we have this kind of nature versus nurture, more of this nature piece that people are wired a certain way in helping you to parent and understand your kids. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons about parenthood for me has been you're not really given like a lump of clay that you then form into a person, right? Like you're given a whole person and yeah, you are shaping and guiding and shepherding in all these different ways. But at the same time, there are elements about your kids that you just, you get what you get. And how do you, I think there's a book about it I've never read, but there's a parenting book about it, like grow the tree you've got or something. And it's like, stop, wishing that you had a different kid or a different type of kid or whatever it is. I always think about the scene in Jurassic Park when they're observing one of the kids who's really misbehaving, and the guy is like, "Do you really want those?" Like meaning kids, and the woman says, "Well, I don't want." Like he's like, "Do you really want kids?" And she's like, "Well, I don't want that kid."
That one.
And it always cracks me up. But then I think it's always such a telling thing about parenting is that I want to pull her character aside and be like, "You might get that." Kid. And so that's why I think Grace's question for this episode is so interesting is that it's like, so if we take this really useful resource and start thinking about it through the lens of parenting and how to parent the kids we've got, and what if you did get that kid, right? What if you got what you think is the toughest Enneagram number for you personally to work with? How can this help to shape our parenting?
That's a great question. So technically, I would say I love your 13-year-old's enthusiasm, Grace. But technically, children, nobody is really supposed to type themselves until they're like 30. I think that's because, we know that it takes that prefrontal cortex a longer time to develop. But in saying that, also, sometimes if you're stuck in between type as an adult, they'll ask you, okay, how would you have responded to the situation as a child? So I don't think that she's completely off base. She probably is a type 1.
Especially with all of
If she did this, it sounds like she might be a type.
But if you tell her that, like, really the correct way to do it is to wait till you're 30, that might give her, like, brain explosion.
it might. Yeah.
It might.
She might be like, what? Yeah.
So the thing about the Enneagram and parenting, yes, I think it is very helpful. Not because it helps to know what type your children are, which, I mean, it is helpful to know that. But since there's really no way we can concretely know that until they're adults, and the temptation to type other people is really strong. Like, after you know enough about this, you're like, oh, they're totally a 7, or whatever. And I mean, I have inklings about my children. And as type 2s, we feel like we know people the best and we can type people the best. So it's like a double temptation for me. But the most helpful thing that you could do is to know your own type and do your own work. That is going to make you a better parent and an authentic parent.
That's really helpful.
Which, shocker. We have to do our own work.
To do work on us. We can't just focus on the other people and just solve all those problems.
I know. It's disappointing. But yes, we have to focus on us. And so I'm trying to think of examples that I could give you in my own life. Well, okay. So as a 2, our nickname is the helper. So I am like constantly, especially people that I care about a whole lot, I'm like constantly wanting to do for them. And so how that's manifested in one way in my children's lives is like, I do so much for them. And at some point I'm like, wait a minute, this is not going to be helpful in the long run. Like, they at some point are going to be adults and they're going to be outside of my household. And like, they have got to be independent. They have got to know how to, pack their own lunch. They need to know how to cook things. They need to know how to do their laundry. They need it is nice for me to do some of these things for them. But like, if I am not teaching them how to do them themselves, it is not going to serve them well in the long run. But I have to like consciously stop myself. And it was, when they were little, stopping myself from always cleaning up like their dinner plates after they're done.
Right.
Like, you need to be able to walk your own plate to the sink
Right.
and rinse it off and put it in the dishwasher. Like, that's a pretty basic thing to do. But yeah, I've got to stop myself consciously and say, okay, are you really like setting them up for success?
Right.
Is this really going to help them, or are you going to hinder them because you're making them kind of like codependent on you, like dependent on you, because we like to be liked and we like to be needed. And I've really got to be conscious of walking that line with my kids. Like, they love me. They are not going to need me for their entire lives. I don't want them to need me. I want them to want to be around me. But I don't want them to think I can't do this unless my mom is here.
Right.
So.
Yeah. How is your husband as into the Enneagram stuff as you are?
That would be a big, gigantic no. Angus MacIntire is not, he is a chemical engineer.
Okay.
I am the touchy-feely in the household. He is not. He's like, we don't need to share. Like, let's not do that. I so wanted him to like type himself, but essentially what that ended up being is like me reading stuff out loud to him about the types I thought he was.
Yes.
Until he told me, yeah, that sounds right. He's a 1, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is really fun and interesting sometimes. But yeah, no, he is a very dear man, and he's very supportive of me being enthusiastic about it. And he was really happy for me getting to go to all the classes that I took and was always willing to hear everything I had to say about it. And when I read fun things, I'm like, oh, listen to this. This big. But he is not. No, he is not an Enneagram enthusiast, quite, at least to my extent. I don't think so.
So for people who aren't Enneagram enthusiasts, or, like, what are other ways that they could maybe know themselves better? Or would you say people who are like type 1s aren't interested in knowing themselves better?
No, they are. So I guess what I will say, in anything, the Enneagram, any personality test, anything you do that helps you grow in your own self-awareness, I think doing your own work helps you be able to grow your capacity for compassion. Because in your own work, you've got to do things that are really hard and things that you don't want to think about and things that you don't want to address. And I think it grows your capacity to have compassion for yourself. And in doing that work, I think when you approach other human beings and you realize, oh, everybody is doing this work, is doing this inner work, and it's difficult. And so I need to give them grace, and I need to be compassionate and really try to understand where they're coming from. Whether it's your family, your coworkers, your friends, all the people you have to be around on a daily basis, really stopping to think, okay, they might be dealing with something I don't know about, or they might be doing this work, and I really need to give them space. And that tracks as a parent too. I mean, because our kids go through a bunch of stuff, and especially when they're younger, it's really easy to think something's the end of the world. They think it's the end of the world. Right. We know it's not. Right. But like for them, it's actually real, and it feels like the end of the world. And so, being able to give them space and cultivating compassion for your children is also a really good thing. And helping them see other perspectives as well. So I guess any self-awareness work gives you a different perspective. And I think it always makes me realize that like I'm part of something that's much bigger than myself. And I don't know what I don't know. And I need to just give myself grace and people grace and all of that living.
Yeah.
Right? Living is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thinking about this, we were thinking maybe we needed 2 episodes, but maybe not. But it kind of, especially like, okay, if we can't type our children and stuff, it's like, oh, what are we going to do now?
Well, I mean, you can just on the down low, right?
Right.
Just...
like figuring them out. But, like over the years, I've read different parenting books, like The Temperament Guide Gave Your Child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which that one, like you were saying, was more enlightening to me about myself.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize, oh my goodness, I think I've always thought that the ideal mom is, what is it, sanguine or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Like that this was like, that's what I was trying to be. And I'm not that type.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, I was never happy. I was never fulfilled. I was never doing it right because I had this ideal that I wasn't in that path. Like there was no way I could have hit that ideal. Right. And so to realize, oh wait, this is who I am and this is how I can be fulfilled and this makes me a better mom, like if I'm being my true self. The other one that I like are the 5 love languages. Now, I definitely think that the idea that like you're only this or that, like everybody needs all the love languages, like love. For real. But I loved in the 5 love languages for kids, it says the easiest way, if your kid's like under 9, the best way to find out their love language is to ask them how they know that you love them.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it's really cool because I remember doing it when my kids were littler, and one of them said, well, because you tell me all the time. Like, okay, that's what they're internalizing. Another one, well, we go shopping together and you take me out with you and we hang out together. And then the third child said, because we cuddle. And, it was like, oh, wow, okay. So we had words of affirmation and quality time and touch, it was just very, very obvious and organic. Like you were saying, like you can't, type somebody with anything necessarily, but you can see that. And, that's kind of a good question just to ask people of any age. It's like, what makes you feel loved?
Well, and I think when you're engaged in Enneagram work or any kind of like self-awareness work, Brene Brown says comparison is the thief of joy, which is just kind of what you were talking about. Like, I thought that the ideal mother was this type of person, and I realized that I am not that type of person. I will never be that type of person.
Failed.
I was never going to pack like the bento box lunch. Yeah. Okay. So I think that when you're doing Enneagram work or self-awareness work, you are focusing on yourself. Like you're not focusing on whatever the ideal mom is or like what your friend is doing with her children. And I think that's really healthy because the only person, the only thing you could change is like you. Like you can work on you. You can't change other people. You can't change your kids. You can't, control their behavior. You can only work on you. And so I think doing work like Enneagram work kind of puts the focus back where it really needs to be, where you could be most effective.
Yeah. And then it empowers you to be able to ask for what you need, too, from those around you.
Yeah.
Like when you realize, oh, wait, okay, you know what? It's better than like flowers or something for me is if my house is clean. I always joke that's all I ever want for like birthdays or Mother's Day. Acts of service, please, guys.
We know that at least one of Grace's children listens to the podcast. And so we are reminding you once again. That's all Grace wants.
Right. That's all I want. That's all I want. Yeah. But right? But like, so it's helpful to go, okay, but this is who this, because if you don't communicate who you are to other people, right, then you get, then people fail you without them realizing that they're failing you.
Yeah.
Like, I remember having a conversation with somebody, years ago, who was like, oh, my birthday's coming up. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they're like, yeah, I really hope, like her boyfriend gets her this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, have you told him? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, but I mean, like, he might not, well, if he's really good, he'll know. I'm like, but he, like, that's not how this works,
right?
And then sure enough, they get disappointed, and or they have somebody like me who goes and says, hey, you better do this because this is what she wants, but
right?
Like trying to keep the peace and like, okay, let's make everybody happy, but yeah, it's tough because you want everybody to know you, right? Like, but you have to share in order to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and there are some Enneagram types that are not really into sharing. And so to know that about yourself and be able to kind of use that, like, okay, I know this about myself. What do I need to say or do differently for the people around me to understand me a little bit better?
Right.
Yeah, so, like, I think about, times that it's knowing this Enneagram system has helped me in my work life. So I had a coworker who was amazing. Super smart, high functioning, very on top of things, but also was very protective of their time in a way that I thought was a little extreme. I'm like, girl, we got to be flexible sometimes. but I realized the reason was because this person is a 5, and 5s are very protective of their energy. And they know that, like, they only have so much to give. And they see everything outside of themselves being like this energy stuff.
Yeah.
But they want to do the best they can, right? And so I realized that, like, her guarding her time and having strong boundaries around that was really her saying, whatever I take on, I want to make sure that I'm giving my all to it. I want to make sure that I could bring my full self to this and that I'm giving you 100% of my energy. And I know that, like, I can't do that. If I take on this one thing, it's not going to happen. And it made me feel, it gave me a different perspective because at first I was like, man, this person is really rigid and they're not flexible and they're not willing to, like, bend. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not what it is. So I just think it makes you realize that, we get in our heads thinking that everybody thinks the same way we do. Like, everybody has the same perspective on things. Everybody views love the same way. Everybody wants the same type of gifts or attention or support. And that is really not true at all. And so doing any kind of work like this with this personality system, it just reminds you that we're all cut from different cloth. Like, what I think about it might not be what Lauren thinks about it at all. So if I'm assuming things instead of asking her directly, Lauren, do you think this about this? Then I'm just missing the point and not really doing a good job being a good friend or coworker. So.
Yeah. The recurring lesson on this podcast is don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make stories. We are so good at humans at making up stories in our head about what we think is going on, and that is never a good thing.
Yeah.
Lower the bar for yourself.
Always the advice from this podcast is to lower the bar. Yes.
Lower the bar
yes.
for yourself.
Yes, lower the bar for yourself.
Okay, that is not going to be the name of this episode.
Okay.
We cannot make that the
This
name
one
of
is not. Okay, all right. Canon Morgan is telling us that you cannot lower the bar this week.
No.
This week it's about raising the bar for yourself within who you are.
Yes.
There you
Being
go.
comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Just hard to do, but really good work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Moving the bar to your section.
Moving the bar might be an acceptable name, but not lowering the bar.
We're not lowering the bar.
We're not.
Maybe that's the name of this one.
Yeah.
Don't lower the bar. Oh, yeah. So, anything else that you want to share with us about this stuff? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I'll try to put some good resources in the show notes if y'all want to begin this journey. And, if anybody in the diocese wants to call me and talk about this, totally.
Do you want to type us?
I'm not going to.
She said no. She said that you're not supposed to type other people.
No. Now, you could do your own exploration, Grace, and if you feel like you're resonating strongly with one type, you can ask me, do you feel like this is correct for me? And I will give you my opinion.
Or if you took a quiz.
I took a quiz.
Or if you took a quiz.
Do you want to tell us what your result was if you
I
agree?
know what you are. You've told me this before.
Yeah, so my quiz, I'm a 9 wing 1.
You're a 9. Yeah, that tracks.
Okay, cool. And what about you?
I'm a
Lauren?
2 as well.
Oh, okay, that tracks.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I find, to sort of round out Canon Morgan's warning about don't take a quiz, I feel very firmly that I'm a 2. But I have taken quizzes before where I come up as a 7.
Oh.
But I think that's just because I am very fun.
You are very fun at all times. I think it's worth exploring though, Lauren, just
Okay.
to kind of see.
Yeah.
Because I can also see that too. But yes, because you're a very extroverted too.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like I mean, I'm sure introverted 7s exist. I'm sure they do. But 9 times out of 10,
Right.
I would guess that 7s are not introverted. Actually, I've known a very introverted 7. Interesting. Okay, anyway, just delete what I said. But I think it's worth exploring just to see
Okay.
if anything else in 7 resonates with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, there
We
you
could
go.
talk about it.
Yeah, but maybe we need to.
Maybe that's the follow-up next week as we get to
Yeah,
hear
right.
the conversation.
We're
We're
gonna
going to type Lauren.
Lauren's inner wiring. Please join us. It'll be very wonderful for her.
Oh my goodness, special part 2.
Yes.
Well, Grace, you know how Canon Morgan's always asking us about Enneagram type?
Yeah.
Do you think understanding personality types can help us be better parents?
So, yeah, I think the good news is that understanding yourself helps you be a better parent.
That is good news.
So, I think that's our good news for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get your own little box of good news on the website, littleboxofgoodnews.com. Y'all, the belonging box is coming out
Very soon.
October 1st. Get ready.
Very soon. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Little Box of Good News. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you, Canon Morgan.
Thank you, Canon Morgan.
The Little Podcast of Good News is a ministry of the Little Box of Good News. The hosts are Lauren Dunn and Grace Rose. This podcast has been edited by Cyril Rose and is produced by the Episcopal Diocese of Louisiana. For more from the Episcopal Diocese of Louisiana, please visit us at edola.org.